Hi everyone, so I thought I would show you me cleaning out the giant African land snails. This is me cleaning out the enclosure for the bigger snails and just having a little bit of a rearrange. So obviously the first thing that I do is gently pop out the snails, and if you can't get a snail out if he's stuck on a pot, just put your finger underneath his foot and just wiggle your finger very slowly and the suction will break, so it'll pop off and be easy to remove. Or you can just move the pot with the snail stuck on, it's fine. And I take out the water dish and I take out, you'll see in a bit, I'll take out the leftover veggies. This is where I've had like the end of a salad bag and I've decided to just put whatever was left in my salad bag in the tank to see if the snails would recycle it. You can also put them on, obviously it's on a compost heap or anything like that, as long as there's no snail eggs mixed in. And I just clean out the leftover salad, take out any slight spot clean for any snail poops, which there'll be some. You tend to find there'll be little piles here and there, and you just pick them up with a little bit of soil from the top layer and take them out. And then what I'll do is I'll remove the sphagnum moss and go through the soil completely to make sure there's no eggs, because obviously you don't want to be surprised by like 350 baby snails all of a sudden. So it's always worth making sure that you check through thoroughly for eggs. And I also make sure the soil is just the right, got just the right amount of moisture in it for them. And the way you check that is you squeeze the soil, and the soil should form together in a lump and not particularly drip or anything. And then when you just throw it up in your hand and catch it, it'll just crumble straight away back into soil instead of being like a solid blob. And that means it's just the right moisture level for the snails. And obviously what I do is once I go through the soil for eggs, give the soil a big mix around, just make sure it's all churned around and aerated and all mixed together, just to make sure I've mixed in all that good bacteria that's built up on the surface and mix that all in with the rest of the soil. You don't want to change the soil very often because you want that build-up of good bacteria in the soil, because it's more beneficial for the snails. And just have a good go through, just make sure there's no eggs, and give the soil a very good mix around. If you find your soil is too wet, then just squeeze out handfuls of it into a bucket. That removes the excess moisture, and then mix the soil all back up again and it will be fine. Can you see there it forms a blob, but then when I throw it up it falls apart? That means it's the perfect moisture level for the snails. And once the tank is all clean and I've put the hides back in, which are two black plant pots you can just see at the top of the screen covered in sphagnum moss, I then put in their snail mix, because I give them the snail mix once a week. This is just to make sure they get plenty of protein in their diet, and to make sure they've just got that extra bit of nutrition. It helps them to grow nice and big and keep them healthy, because they do need that protein, because in the wild they would be the cleanup crew, so they would eat vegetable matter and decaying animal matter. So I give them the snail mix and they can just nibble on that while I finish off cleaning the lid of the tank and putting in the veggies. So their menu for today, after the snail mix, I've put in some cabbage, some spring cabbage, some carrots, some green beans, some sweet corn and some broccoli for them to munch. And they can just enjoy that over the next day or two. I tend to leave the cabbage and broccoli for 2 days. And basically what they haven't ate in 2 days, they're not going to eat it. Because you don't want to leave anything in the snail tank that might go manky or anything like that. But at the same time, I do need to give them time to eat it, because it will take them longer to eat spring cabbage and things, because it's a higher quality leaf and it's a lot thicker and it's a lot denser. And yeah, as you can see, the big snails are doing just fine. So as you can see, if you look at the size of Rick on the left, Rick is the one on the left with the white sort of stripe down his shell. And the top right is Morty. As you can see, Morty is massive now. Next to Morty is Simon, and then in the bottom right of the screen, that is Alvin. Alvin is nearly the same size as Rick, he's not far off. And the smallest is Theodore. Theodore's just a small snail, perfectly fine and active and eats plenty of food. I do think Theodore is a Achatina zanzibaricia, so I think obviously Theodore is a slightly different breed of African land snail. So maybe they don't get as big. I'm not sure. I've never had Achatina zanzibaricia before, so because for ages I've been trying to figure, for the last year I've been trying to figure out exactly what species Theodore is, because Theodore's very different to the others. So yeah, and I think she's got like the albino shell as well. That's why she's so pale. Her shell's got the odd dodgy patch on because she had a phase where like the end would keep like crumbling a little bit, but she seems to have built up the calcium a lot better now. But as you can see, they're doing great and they're growing well. So that's my big snail update and a little clean out. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.